How's it going?
Hey, Coach, how are you doing? How's practice for the spring this year?
It's been excellent. It's nice to have one. So it's a great time of the year to hone up some fundamentals, let guys compete, and just nice to, you know, be playing some football in the spring for sure.
How was it last year when you didn't have spring practice to work with your group of fullbacks and get them ready for the season? You had depth last year, but getting a team ready in college football without spring has got to be a challenge.
Yeah. So just updating with the times. So what we're doing right now, just using technology to our advantage, being able to connect with guys one-on-one and, expanding the way we teach and lead and coach became paramount. So I think, that came because we had great relationships with the guys before the pandemic happened, and just being able to connect with those guys via Zoom, via FaceTime, and those guys being really elite at learning and taking being professionals about the approach and not taking the spring off. So I don't really look at it as we missed the spring last year. I felt like we gained and we got better as a team and as a program.
Do you think it made you a better coach?
Absolutely. Just this environment, you've got to be more creative to keep the guys engaged. Some of the best coaches are really good leaders, but excellent teachers. So creating a curriculum and an environment that's friendly to the players, that they get excited about. They might be in California or Texas or Missouri or Kentucky, what have you, but find ways that they stayed close to one another, and that they were excited to attend meetings. So that doesn't just automatically show up when adversity hits. That's things that we start even with our recruiting process, building those relationships with the trust we create. So I think that just showed up, and I felt last year, last spring, last summer, it more so revealed what has already been here with our culture, and those are very welcoming things that happened in the fall for us.
What are you working on within your position group right now?
Fundamentals, and it's a nice fancy word, but there's a lot of details that we go through. We're a precision program. There's no detail too small. Every guy has something he can learn from another player through mental reps, film study, but just getting back to the basics. That's how we beat people. We play as a unit, we play as a program, and honing in on the fundamentals and creating an exciting atmosphere where guys compete. And the way we really believe the way we practice is a weapon, and that's going to show up on Saturdays in the fall.
And Mike, you've got some talented fullbacks led by Jacobi Buchanan and Cade Barnard and Anthony Atkins. Tell us how your fullbacks are developing this spring.
Well, I don't look at any one guy necessarily in the lead. I look at those guys as a unit. They all have a different skill set, and they play off of one another. And the best thing that's going on right now is competition breeds success with these guys, and they're not necessarily taking the approach that they're competing against one another, but they're competing with each other. And to have the luxury of having that depth, but understanding that those reps are for sale, and those guys are out here earning it and developing, and each guy's got a fundamental or two or three that they've got to work on and improve. So it's been exciting because I like the professionalism that they've shown, the maturity they've shown, and not taking the attitude that they've arrived, because as we all know, this is a very fluid game, and things change fast, and guys have put in a lot of hard work throughout the off season, and they're out here competing.
Mike, can you offer a few words about Jacoby specifically? Went the whole season without a loss of yardage on any runs. It looked like he came on strong and stayed strong throughout the year.
Yeah, Jacoby did an excellent job of mastering the fronts he saw with our blocking scheme. Jacoby's excellent at his football IQ, being able to process things fast. Things happen fast at that B-back position. So I felt Jacoby kind of always understood the situation, and was able to, did a great job. The mob controlled the line up front, and then Jacoby, got his 3 yards after contact and converted a lot of runs for us.
He told us yesterday, though, that he's dropped 10 pounds. He wants to see how he plays at 255 as opposed to 265. What are your thoughts about that? And does that take away from his, wrecking ball?
Yeah, so the way you get to force, whether it's through mass and acceleration, I think dropping that weight's only going to increase his acceleration. He's already going to have the mass, but putting on some strength and power, simple physics for us. I don't think there's this is the time to kind of play with weight, play with a different body type. And he wants to see how he feels at a lower weight, and we're supporting him in that. And we're on the same page with our strength conditioning staff and nutrition staff. So I don't think it's going to take anything away from his game whatsoever as far as the yards after contact and his ability to get the hard yards.
Mike, it's got to be very important for your position group on physical conditioning in the off season with the pounding that they take and the number of reps they may get in a game. What are some of the things that are emphasized in the off season conditioning for the fullbacks?
Well, I think it starts right with Coach Monken. Toughness isn't about just your physical ability; it's a mental ability, and training your minds to be able to hit it hard for 4 to 6 seconds and reset. I think just the grit and the rep in and reps out through our off season, our fourth quarter program, it's as much as anything to me. It's training their minds, having the psychological edge as much as anything right now. They're competing for opponents in the fall as much as they are just out here in spring practice.
Mike, Mike, can you talk about, the fact that you guys used like 6 quarterbacks, 4 starters last year? Very critical, the exchanges between fullbacks and quarterbacks. What do you guys emphasize in that regard? Do you want a uniformity, or do they have to all adjust to one another?
No, it's reps, and it's continuous reps, and it's the fundamentals. The fundamentals don't change whether it's X quarterback and Y fullback, B back, and I think it looking all the same is paramount. So we're hard on them with that, but they do a great job of working with one another in their off time for those exchanges and being comfortable with one another. And the best thing, and we talk about our culture, but the way they communicate with one another, giving positive feedback, that relationship's important, that they're talking through what's not happening and us giving them that reinforcement right after a rep.
Mike, just I ask you about Anthony Adkins. He came out of high school highly touted, and he's had injury challenges. How is he doing this spring?
Anthony's doing outstanding. He's got a great attitude, always a great spirit and energy about him. Nothing seems to get him down, and we're very pleased with Anthony and the whole group.
Any young players that are asserting themselves?
They all are. I mean, I want to just hone in on one guy. I think that's the key right now. Those guys are earning their spots and taking steps forward. We're excited about Tyson Riley adding depth to that room.
Mike, are you taking more care on the sidelines, making sure you don't get hit by your own players?
Yeah, I should. That's a good one. But no.
Mike, let me just ask you, you're a veteran of the United States Army. You deployed overseas. How is it counseling the seniors and watching the seniors get ready for commissioning and for service in the U.S. Army?
I think that's what makes this place the best place to coach in America, because after 48 Saturdays in the fall and 4 bowl games are over, we understand, and Coach Monken does a great job of instilling in his staff that our responsibility is way, way beyond the fields of friendly strife, and taking those moments to impact these guys and understanding that they're going to lead America's sons and daughters in arguably the most important profession in the world. We take great pride in that. So just watching these guys mature, watching what the game of football brings to them in a natural environment. I mean, guys are about 6 weeks away from graduation. It's maybe the most rewarding day for us as coaches.
Absolutely.
Mike, just a quick thought on, what does the loss of Sandon McCoy mean to the fullback unit as well as leadership?
I think you would ask Sandon, there wouldn't be a loss. And the most important part of guys like Sandon, guys like Amadeo West, our team captains, is the fact that they care about how they left this place. It's not what they're leaving behind as a blind spot or a gap in the program. That we're on a continuous positive trajectory, And there shouldn't be a loss because we raise leaders, we develop leaders, and that's part of, the captains and the senior classes legacy is making sure that those guys are prepared. So I wouldn't say there's going to be a loss there whatsoever because of what an outstanding job that senior class did for the underclass.
But does one person have to sort of assume that leadership role within the fullback group or no?
I think we're all leaders. It's shared responsibility, and to say that one guy is the guy, that I expect all those guys to lead equally.